Hey, what's going on, beautiful souls on Facebook? This is Peter Clark Nelson, and it's been a little while since I've done a video, and this week has been a very challenging week on a number of fronts, and yet at the same time, there's things that I'm involved in creatively and bringing into physical reality, birthing, I should say, creations that are very near and dear to my own heart. Incredibly inspiring people that I've had an opportunity to be collaborating with. And we're all coming to that critical point where it's now time, right? So any of you amazing, beautiful mothers out there know, as well as anybody, better than anybody, that there comes that point when your baby is ready to be birthed and there's no more waiting. Doctors can say, well, it's going to be this time or that time, and sometimes there has to be, um, you know, the birthing process is induced to accelerate it. But the point is that there comes that moment where the baby is now ready to come into the world, and there's a tremendous amount of emotions, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, that happen for any of us who are birthing a new creation. I'm going, obviously, I'm not speaking directly of, just women giving birth to their creations, but the way it is for each of us to step into that place of acceptance that it is time. And I can speak from personal experience, but I can also speak from over 2 decades worth, almost 3 decades now, where I've been involved with a number of different incredibly creative individuals in a variety of different disciplines and backgrounds, that when it gets to that critical juncture, the crunch time moment where it's time, right? The lights are on, it's you got to show up. A lot of people run in the other direction, or they only do a little bit of what is necessary, but not everything, so that there's a bit of an excuse or a series of excuses to fall back on. I'm sure anybody watching this video can relate to it on some level. So however it shows up in your life, let's just be real about where things are right now energetically for a great number of people, especially this week. So if we harken back just a couple of weeks ago, it was the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And the waves of energy after that has created some pretty interesting dynamics for people individually and also collectively. And I was just speaking with my dear friend and mentor and collaborator for the Quantum Mindset course, Wanda Vitale, and there is a theme of death and rebirth in the air right now. Now it's always there. I mean, let's face it, every breath we take is an expression of death and rebirth. Every day is that. So I'm not saying like there's, that's not the case every moment and every day, because it is. I'm just saying some moments in time are amplified. Part of the death and rebirth process is creation. It is creation. You spend that time with a creative vision, and you have a passionate, sacred mission that you want to bring out to the world, whatever that might be. Well, it requires more than just the nuts and bolts of whatever it is you're doing to get it out there. Like, for example, if you have a heart-centered business, there are some fundamental components of marketing and branding that are going to be required to get your message seen, heard, and felt. If you are a storyteller and you've got a book or you've got a screenplay, or you're a filmmaker, which is a storyteller, and you've got a documentary or whatever it is that you want to put out there into the world, or you have a conference or a retreat, there are certain things and fundamentals and structures and things that you are going to already know that are required to get that vision seen, heard, and felt by the people it's designed for. The thing that's the through line through all of that is the mindset required to navigate the divine feminine and divine masculine energies that are going to be required in any creative endeavor. And as most of us can relate to, right? So you have the feminine energies, which is that intuitive aspect. It's the nurturing. It's being patient. Like my dear friend and client, Thea Sullivan, talks about this, as well as many others, that part of listening to your intuition, part of following guidance on your intuition is giving yourself the space and the time to actually feel into it, not just take immediate action. That's part of the masculine, but that's also the masculine side of things at times is out of balance and doesn't even stop to listen to the feminine intuition within us. You don't have to be a man or a woman. It's in both of us. It's in both genders. So what I'm saying in all of this is that there comes that point when it's time to step back, to really allow yourself to hear and feel what is moving through you in terms of your creation, in terms of your vision and your mission. And then there comes a point where it's time to take aligned and inspired action. And it's very scary to do that. And I know each and every one of us at various intervals of our journey where we have shied away from the things that we were being called to do, only to find ourselves at some later date moving through energies and emotions that we could theme as regret, guilt, shame, anger, frustration. Like, why the fuck did I not do what I knew I needed to do at that moment? But you can't go back in time and change that, or can you? Can you look in the rearview mirror of the past? Can you see where you could have or should have done things that you know would have prevented something from happening, where you didn't listen to your intuition, or that you could have or would have done things that would have propelled you forward in your vision and mission? Okay, be aware of that. Don't be stuck on it, but be aware of it, because here's the thing. With what you now know, with what you now have available to you, especially in terms of your experience and your wisdom, how are you going to do things differently? With the opportunities that you have in front of you right now, how are you going to respond to those differently? One of my dear friends and one of the most brilliant individuals I've ever come across, Guyana Sofia Oganova. Guyana is always sharing, and in my conversations with her and in the courses that she's been involved in that I've been co-facilitating, she shared that responsibility is all about response. What is your response? What are you choosing? And she talks about being a master chooser as well. So if we're going to be master choosers and embody that, then the opportunities that each of you have right now to birth your creations into physical reality, be it a business, a new course, a new book, a screenplay, whatever it is, a new way of living, a new place to live, a new career change, I don't care, whatever that is. The mindset that you had in the previous timelines where maybe you didn't show up or do the things that you felt you could have or should have done, you can rewrite the story now. You are the writer, you are the director, the actor, actress, and producer of your own story. We are all master storytellers, as we are all master choosers. So what kind of story are we choosing to share with ourselves and in turn sharing with the rest of the world? What are we willing to do as heart-centered leaders to step up, to strike a chord, to touch a nerve in others that might make them feel uncomfortable, but when it's all said and done, needed that lightning bolt from our words, needed that lightning bolt, that nudge, subtle or jarring, that reminder that within each and every one of us is a goddess and a god, eagerly ready to be seen, heard, and felt. I know this week has been very challenging for a lot of people, and I will speak personally for myself. The sudden and devastating passing of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the 7 other individuals in that helicopter. I can't even begin to put into words the impact, positively speaking, that Kobe had on myself and my son and our journey together over these past 20 plus years, because it literally goes back to 1995. And my son was just turning 3 years old, and he's becoming 4 in the next year. He instantly had a connection to Kobe. When I first showed him video and an image of Kobe playing basketball in high school, and he was already being touted as the best player to come out of high school since Moses Malone in the 70s. It's very unheard of, by the way, for anybody who was in high school to come into the NBA who was not a quote unquote big man. And my son at the time was, as little as he was already a storyteller. He was already enamored with basketball. In fact, years later, he would have to come to a point of choosing basketball or choosing music and storytelling because he was innately gifted in both. Well, throughout that entire journey, as we were living in Southern California for almost 17 years, Kobe was at the forefront of our awareness. And I was very fortunate during a large period of that time to be traveling in many of the same circles as Kobe. I was blessed to collaborate with several Hall of Fame NBA athletes, and I was overseeing a research project for 3 years, of which Kobe was going to be a central focus of. And due to some timing and, of course, the situation that occurred, for him in Colorado, it changed a lot of things. And I bring that incident up because not everybody is perfect. Not everybody's going to make the right choices. Now, none of us know for sure what happened in Colorado, and quite frankly, that's not the point of me talking about this. The point is that as somebody that made a choice that wasn't ultimately in the best interest of a lot of people, namely himself, he took responsibility for that in a number of ways, and he paid the price in a number of ways. So as a leader, as a person that was not only the leader of the most storied franchise in NBA history, but as somebody that was already a legend at the time and quickly becoming an icon, he changed his entire approach to the way he worked, the way he looked at himself, the way he looked at his family. And those levels of decision making that he took personified, as far as I'm concerned, what it looks and feels like to be the leader in your life first and foremost, that you aspire others to be. Like, be the example, be the witness of your own greatness, and then go share it. And so to see the journey that he was on, and I was very aware of his storytelling skills and what he was looking to do as he got to the point of retiring, which took many years. From the first time I was aware of what he was really looking to do. I mean, this was a guy that was already preparing for his retirement when he was just hitting his peak as an athlete. And one of the things that he stood for that always resonated with me is don't waste an opportunity to fulfill your own greatness. And greatness is going to look different for everybody. I mean, there's only a one-off, right? A Kobe Bryant. And people say he's similar to Michael Jordan, but let's face it, there's very few human beings that can reach the level of gifts and talents that he had as an athlete, let alone as a storyteller. I mean, the guy won an Oscar, for crying out loud, wrote books, best-selling books. I mean, it's just, the point I'm saying is maximize your opportunities for your own version of greatness. Don't leave anything on the table that you can look back on and say, I regret, I could have, I would have, I should have. And I say all of this because not only is this still fresh in my own energy field with his sudden passing, but I look at what he did and how he showed up for other people that he didn't have to. I mean, the guy was championing women's sports in a variety of different sports all over the world, which is why when he passed on, you were hearing from people in every corner of the world, many of which never met him, but were influenced by him. And a great majority of them were women or young girls who will be women. And that's because of his passion for inspiring other people, but not just through his words, but through his dedication to the very things that he shared with others for them to go and find their own passion to be dedicated about, whatever you're dedicated to. So my question to everybody watching this video, if you're still journeying with me, is, are you dedicated to mediocrity? Are you dedicated to guilt and regret and shame? Because I'm going to be very honest with you, for a long time I was. And don't be afraid to admit it to yourself, because we were all programmed for that. The human condition, as we've come to know it, was hijacked. Our consciousness programmed with emotions of guilt and shame. of anger, frustration, unworthiness, and fear. And sure, we can override many of them and still find ourselves not truly fulfilled. But if you go to the source of it all, if you go to the true source and nature of all of this, which is really unworthiness or a fear of being seen, heard, and felt in your true greatness, when you get to that core essence and you ask yourself, what is actually more scary? What is more painful? Stepping into your greatness and saying yes to your sacred mission and your inspiring vision and putting yourself in a position to actually bring it into reality, even if it changes, even if it doesn't look like you thought it was gonna be. What is more painful, doing that or just sitting on the sidelines critiquing everybody else for what they're doing while you're sitting there very silently suffering a slow and painful death of your own inner spirit? I know a lot of you are out there in the trenches, building businesses, exploring ways you can share your inspired message. I also know a lot of you are finding yourselves in a place of limbo. It's a bit scary. I've been there. I understand what that's like. And I don't mean just been there once, I've been there many times. Because when timelines shift, and I mean quantum level timeline shifting, and the things that you were passionate about, you're no longer resonating with, you can rest assured that even if you're finding yourself sort of grappling with this idea, it's like, well, shit, I've spent all this time with this business, or I spent all this time in a particular industry, or I've spent all my time living in a particular place, and now all of a sudden I'm not resonating with it. Yes, that is going to be uncomfortable. And the decision to move beyond that is probably going to send a ripple effect and a jarring effect to a lot of people around you who are used to your status quo. However, for you to not be in resonant with certain things that you used to be only means that there is something deeper calling you forward. You know what that is, and only you know that. So if you are scared of stepping into something that is calling you forward, you got to ask yourself, why am I being called forward to this? Why is what I no longer resonate with something that I'm kind of clutching on to? Like I got to keep this. I got to keep this revenue coming in. I get it. I'm not expecting people all of a sudden walk away from your job when you've got bills and a family to care for. There is, let's face it, we're all a human being here, right? So there is a bit of a bridge that we have to build. But don't wait on building that bridge. The truth is you're already building it. So if that's the case, which it is, don't stop. Don't stop what has already started. Figure out how can you go deeper into that? How can you build that bridge faster? Who can you reach out to? Who could you collaborate with that can help you build that bridge from where you're leaving to where you're going? And all of this, I could be doing this video, and not even say anything about the quantum mindset, the course that I've collaborated with Wanda Vitale on. But I'd be remiss if I don't bring that up, because that is the course we're doing. And it's interesting how many people have reached out to us about this course and yet are kind of sitting on the fence. I don't know. I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know if it's the right thing. You're already using a mindset. Question is, what mindset are you choosing? This goes back to what I was saying Guyana talks about, the master choosers. Choose a mediocrity mindset, a mediocre-based mindset that's based and rooted in fear and lack and guilt and shame and all that crazy shit that no longer is resonant, right? We talk about what's no longer resonant. Choose that mindset, and you already know what the outcomes are going to be because you've been there. When you choose a quantum mindset, you may not know what the outcomes are because it's a foreign territory for you. But rest assured, you've tasted aspects of what a quantum mindset can do for you. It can create new opportunities that are in resonance and alignment with your soul. It brings in new people and new experiences that elicit joy, creative abundance, fulfillment, inner peace, self-love, all that stuff that you read these quotes about on social media and you're like, wow, that Ruby quote really touched me, or that video made me laugh and that made me feel good. That's Those are aspects of a quantum mindset expressing itself. Laughter, joy, fun, fulfillment. It's all there. It's just a question of what are you choosing? So the point of this video is partly for me just to sort of express some of the things that have been flowing through my energy field over the last week or so. And I have a lot more I can say about my experiences with how Kobe affected my journey and my son's journey, and it's very inspiring on a lot of levels, but that's for a different video. I do want to say that when I first heard about his passing, within a few minutes of me speaking with my son and sort of processing through the utter shock of it all, I remember there was another emotion that washed over me, unmistakable. This is exactly what I said. Something bigger is happening here. Something big. This feels like an explosion in the quantum field, but in a good way, in spite of how sad and devastating and shocking this is. And over the next 72 hours, as you begin hearing from a multitude of people from all over the world talking about what this person's presence over the last 20 years meant for them and for the people who knew him, you know, for the first 20 years of his life, because he was 41. When you start hearing about what people were being brought to recognize in their own life outside of how he impacted them, you begin to hear things like, I'm not going to waste my time anymore doing things that I don't love to do. If I have a grievance with other people, I'm going to squash that beef. And if they're not alive, I'm going to, at the very least, let go of the energies associated with that negativity. I'm not going to let a day go past that I don't share with those people that I love how much I love them. And if there's something that I'm here to do and something that I'm here to share with the world, whatever that gift and talent may be, I'm going to maximize it to the fullest. I'm going to adopt my own personal Mamba mentality, which is nothing more than simply saying, I'm going to cultivate and I'm going to build on and I'm going to grow a quantum mindset. So I'm going to wrap things up with a quote. There's so many quotes from Kobe Bryant over the years, but there is one in particular that's really resonant with respect to the quantum mindset and what Wanda and I have been doing. I mean, this is not our first rodeo with this course. We just expanded it, and it is an offshoot of Wanda's The Quantum Entrepreneur Program, and is also carrying a lot of elements of my activation courses that I've done. And one of the primary areas that we focus on is fear, the fear of being seen, heard, and felt, and how to move through that, and how to use that energy and reinterpret it and rechannel it to fuel your vision and passion. So there's a quote from Kobe Bryant that really speaks to a lot of what I've been sharing here over the last, I don't know how long this video has been, 20 plus minutes or so, but here it is. He says, the topic of leadership is a touchy one. A lot of leaders fail because they don't have the bravery to touch that nerve or strike that chord. Throughout my years, I haven't had that fear. And he's talked about at various points. I mean, as I referenced the Colorado situation, yeah, he was rightfully so petrified for a lot of reasons. And there's been other times where, you know, he's failed on the basketball court, which wasn't often, but he failed pretty big in many occasions, particularly in his first couple of years in the league. But rather than shy away from what happened and defer responsibility to everything other than himself, he decided that it was time to take that narrative, that vision that he had as a teenager, and to reevaluate it and look at what no longer works, what is no longer needed in this story, and what do I need to change that story to bring about more of who I truly am and to inspire other people. And he didn't just think about this, and he's said this before in various forums and interviews. This was a guy that reached out to people that he didn't even know. He would have people make introductions for himself to speak with J.K. Rowling, the creator of the Harry Potter series. He would reach out to artists, musicians, politicians, business leaders, you name it. He wanted to know what made these people tick. And I can relate to that because that was part of what I did a research project back in from 2003 to 2005. I made a list of people from a variety of industries and backgrounds, and I went out and I talked with a lot of them, and I worked with them. I had, my team of people, one of which was NBA Hall of Famer Jamal Wilkes, Dr. Gail Shaper Gordon, who is a renowned business psychologist. And the point in understanding all of that was to get a sense of, how do people show up when the pressure is at its greatest? How are we going to be at our best when it matters most? How do we look fear in the eyes and make fear an ally instead of our enemy? And that comes down to you making a choice individually of how you want to show up and be responsible for your energy. How do we be better stewards of our creative energy? In other words, how can we use our quantum mindset to improve, vastly improve, the quality of our own personal lives, and then allow the ripple effect of that to go and positively impact others? If this resonates with you, awesome. If you're still trying to process and wrap your mind around what in the world the quantum mindset is, awesome as well. If you are now ready to emerge from the ashes of whatever has been dying off in your life, and you're ready to rise as the phoenix does, then I invite you to take some time to go to the link that's in this post, take a look at what's being offered through the quantum mindset, reach out to me and Wanda, let us know if there's anything we can do to answer questions for you. But above all, whether you join us on the quantum mindset journey starting on February 13th or you don't, my intention here is for you to simply take some time today or in the next couple of days and ask yourself, what is it that makes your heart sing, and what you can do to play the music that is making your heart sing through your unique gifts, talents, and skills. You don't have to have a business. You don't have to be, a supremely talented athlete or artist or writer. But rest assured, you have a story to share. You have a story that can inspire however many people it is designed to inspire. But that story is never going to see the light of day if you are scared of being seen, heard, and felt. So thank you for taking this time to journey with me on this video. I truly appreciate it. It's always an honor. Whoever shows up and reads my posts and articles or watches the videos or the masterclass series that I do with some incredibly inspiring souls. And I just want to say thank you for your presence at this time in the world. And your inspired message is needed now more than ever. So thanks again for taking time on this video. And I'm sending you a lot of love, gratitude, and prosperous blessings.